a lot of details, and I can't literally cannot say anything more than that at this point in time with the campaign people that I'm speaking with. Comms are very quiet. Obviously, the protection of the president is the most important thing at this time in getting President Trump to safety and taking care of his medical conditions and things of that nature. More is going to come out on this, but on the Secret Service, they're still not releasing anything other than they've got multiple, different, beat around the bush press releases at this point in time. But I'm hearing a Secret Service press conference is going to stay. I'm hearing 7:30 p.m., maybe 7:45 Eastern time. I'll let you know on that. I'm going to yield back as I find out more information.
Hey, Matt,
Okay,
somebody
guys,
sent me a picture out of
we're
Butler.
getting some updates here right now. So we're getting those reports from various mainstream media news outlets that are saying that the shooter was the one that was been killed, but we're also getting reports now that there is another
crazy
person
shit, right, Harper?
in custody. There's another person. Yeah, okay. One person in custody after attempted Trump assassination. So there's at least one dead and at least one in custody.
Can y'all hear it?
We don't know what the role of the person in custody is at this point. We've heard reports since this first started about an hour ago that there were possibly multiple shooters at the venue.
There you go.
And now that we're seeing that
shooters.
somebody else is in custody, it that might hold some water. But then we'd have to ask the question: is how did two people get in with firearms? That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane to me.
Nick, I've got somebody who sent me a picture from Butler Police of who the shooter is. I'm looking at another video from Fox, them carrying out what they say is one of the shooters. It looks like a female's hands, the size of the hands, and I'm going to send this to you. I don't want to post anything publicly unless you see it first, Matt. I'm going to send it to you as well. Give me 1 second.
Okay. And guys, just letting you know, if you post anything in the nest without asking me, I'm going to boot you off the stage because it's breaking the space.
What's up,
Thank
Bill?
you. But anyway, Javon, I want you to jump in before we get another update here in just a second. There's a lot of news rolling in very quickly. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. I mean, Ryan spoke about this being akin to Ronald Reagan. I'd do you one better.
That's what I said
This is
earlier.
akin to Teddy Roosevelt, who took a bullet and finished his speech. This man has done everything he possibly could to make this country great. They slandered his name. They tried to bankrupt him. They tried to indict him. They tried to take him off the ballot. This is a natural progression of what's going on. And it takes us, everyday Americans, men and women, to stand up here and call this shit out. Because when you have a president of the United States who says 50% of the country are white supremacists, extremists, radicals who want to end our democracy, what else can you expect? This is exactly the result that you get. You get assassination attempts, and that's why that language is dangerous as hell, man. We all got to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got to
Okay.
vote.
And like I said, we're going to jump in anytime there is news, and there's news rolling in very quickly. It looks like the ATF has joined the Secret Service investigation. That's the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
Okay.
Have joined the investigation. They said this is a top priority. We have no further comment at this time. So the people that are trying to say that this wasn't a shooting, it seems, it doesn't seem like that statement by those people holds any water at this point if the ATF is now involved. Clearly, it was a projectile shot at Trump, regardless of what you want to call it, even if it was a 3D printed firearm, which, people have been floating around. There's no evidence of that being the case yet.
Wait a second.
Trump was shot by something. We don't know exactly what yet. It seems reports are saying 8 to 10 shots were ringing out. Again, we have one person now in custody. That's breaking as of like 2 minutes ago. And one other person is dead. Ryan, go ahead.
One thing, I have to say, I'm getting updates myself. He's not really giving me much info, but from initial reports, sounded
it seems like they're
was
trying
a
to keep stuff
small
very
pistol.
hush hush.
Yeah, they're trying to keep. They don't want to put too much info before the presser. But what I was initially told was a small pistol. I don't know what composition it was made of. It could have been like in that movie. What was the name of the movie where it was Harrison Ford, or not Harrison Ford? Clint Eastwood.
Ryan
just went live too.
Ryan, we have an update. We have an update now. County prosecutors now come out saying that 2 people have died at the rally, one of them being the suspect. So at least 2 dead at the rally, and one of them is the shooter. That is confirmed by the county prosecutor.
That's good to hear. I mean, rot in hell, rest in hell. I mean, if you're willing to do this against the leading political figure on the right because you do not agree with their views, then yeah, rot in hell.
Okay, county prosecutor is also just now.
Yeah, I got another
Okay,
breaking, Nick.
hold on. It's just now been confirmed by the county prosecutor as well that President Trump was in fact grazed by a bullet. So that puts all the it wasn't the shooting things to bed. That is the county prosecutor from Butler County, Pennsylvania, that has released that statement saying that Trump was grazed by a bullet.
100%.
Nick, Wall Street Silver put out a picture of an Antifa guy. I don't know if you're seeing this. I don't want to say the name publicly because that would be defamation.
Send it to me by DM.
No, if it's true, it's not defamation.
And I want to get Keem. I want to get Keem in here as well. I saw you trying to break in. Keem, go ahead.
I
gotta go.
Check
Like
news chat.
I'm
There's
literally
a photo
in the
of the
corner.
guy, but I'm not. It's not confirmed.
Rosalerts, I don't know if you can hear Keem, but
Yeah.
I'll check the chat. But go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate Nick, Raw Alerts, and everyone here staying on this story. I'm literally in the corner of a bar, like just trying to keep up to date, working with my team and working with all of you to get information, the correct information out. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, and God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. Literally, this is insane. And we really need to all, as the speaker said before, pray for our country, because we are on the verge of World War III. Right now, it is the most important time in this country, and we really need to focus on our future. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Keeman, as well. I was just looking at that report of a possible photo of the shooter. I don't know the source of that photograph, so I'm not
that's what I'm
going
trying to find too, Nick. But it's spreading like
Yeah.
wildfire
And
right
Keem,
now.
So I'm not gonna push that stuff out until we have some a little bit of ground to stand on when it comes to that. Because other law enforcement sources are also saying that they have not ID'd the shooter yet. So coming out with pictures of him from his Facebook page or something, I don't know. I'm not there yet. So we'll try to keep on that. And if it is him, you'll be the first to know about it right here in the space. Go ahead, TJ.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, and one person, I'm not going to name them, but a firearms expert actually said it sounds like a suppressed 5.56 or 2.23. I don't necessarily know if that's valid, but I mean, here's the thing: that's a rifle round, and I have no idea how that gets through Secret Service unless there was like an intentional gap. That is nuts to me. I mean, this with the fact there's multiple suspects, this just reeks of a highly coordinated assassination attempt. And I just want to say on this end, pray for your fellow countrymen. Do what it takes to keep you and your family safe under all circumstances. Okay, this is one of those things. Like, I mean, frankly, this reminds me of when they convicted President Trump. One of the lines that Tucker.
We have Dr. Sebastian Gorka coming up.
Yes, that's way. Yeah, and I'm just going to finish up really quick before we get Dr. Gorka up here. One of the things that Tucker Carlson so wisely said is that when you look at these people celebrating what they are doing to President Trump, these people are a danger to you and your family, and you should treat them as such. And to elaborate on that, they're either too stupid to realize how dangerous this is, or they know how dangerous it is and they don't care, and it's only a matter of time before that gun gets turned from President Trump to you. So please act accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't surprising to anybody who's been watching world events. I mean, there's been assassination attempts against right-wing.
Yeah, we're trying to get Dr. Sebastian Gorka up here on stage, former senior White House advisor. He's having a few glitches. He'll be back here in just a second. He'll be up on stage to kind of run through this stuff with us. But I want to give a statement real quick from, let's see here. I mean, this is stating the obvious that it looks like, law enforcement, Secret Service concerned that attack on Trump may have been a serious attempt on the former president's life. No crap, Sherlock. Okay.
Right.
Nick, I have a video of an eyewitness if you want me to play that.
Why aren't we saying assassination everywhere? Why is everybody putting around the dirty word? Is that a dirty word we can't use in the media?
Dude, we've been saying assassination
for the past hour. I'm not talking about you, Nick. I'm talking about all the other fucking so-called journalists in this profession. I've been in 32 years.
But because they played a role in it, Dan. I mean, these are the same people who have painted Trump as an existential threat to the U.S. Republic,
as Hitler,
to Ukraine,
as Hitler,
to
that's
Jews,
not a verified photo
to
but the second time I've seen it.
to trannies, to women. It's going to be Handmaid's Tale. They have riled up their supporters for years. And this is the logical conclusion because they've used this same play in Japan when Abe was killed, in Slovakia when the Prime Minister Robert Fico was assassination attempt occurred. I mean, it's not by chance that all the right-wing nationalists are facing bullshit charges to imprison them or remove them from the ballot from Brazil to the U.S. to Germany. I mean, there's been multiple assassination attempts against AfD candidates in Germany, and they paint them as the Nazis, and it's read by a lesbian married to a non-German. So this is they don't want to do this because they played a direct role in demonizing Trump and his supporters to the point where people are ready to kill for him. You know,
Well, yeah, 100%.
Hey
Let me ask
guys,
a
this is
hypothetical
guys. We
question,
have
though.
some
I really
we have some serious news here. Chip Roy just stated that he's been told that Joe Biden will address the nation tonight. Chip Roy continued this by saying, "For the good of the nation, please pray he will find the right words of respect for President Trump, who was targeted for assassination."
I mean, he did
Well,
say
Wow.
Trump was
okay,
his
we're
vice
still the
president.
enemy
So,
of the people in his.
Okay, there may have been a mute glitch there, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
look,
still working on
guys,
trying to get.
I just got to the studio. I'm ready to go on the air on OAN, and I'm watching fucking CNN still putting loud bangs heard at Trump rally. Spokesperson says, what
Can you hear me?
spokesperson? Loud bangs. I
Yes,
mean,
we can hear you, Dr. Gorka.
Okay, who
oh,
gives
hey,
a
Sebastian.
fuck what
Sorry, I was
Biden
off.
says right now? I mean, seriously. And can
Okay.
we stop with the bullshit? I heard from somebody something. That wasn't a 5.56 round. The president would be dead if that was a 5.56 round with a suppressor. Okay, please, can we just stop, calm down, and look at what we've got? The president was probably hit, given the sound of the report, with a low caliber weapon like a 22 or a 25. The fact that he realized, put his hand up, then he ducked, mean there was nothing in terms of a major nervous system hit. The fact that he freaking fist bumped the air afterwards means he was in control of his body despite the blood. And the fact is that we have an assassination attempt on the president from, well, let's be honest here. There's one party that's normalized violence from Antifa to BLM, and it's not the Republicans. But everybody pray for President Trump, pray for this nation, and the soul of the seemingly innocent bystander who was shot and whatever was said previously about the killer or the attempted killer. Yes, he should rot in hell. But let's leave the crazy stuff. Let's not spin crazy bullshit we have no evidence for, okay?
Yep.
Amen,
So,
Sebastian.
Dr.
Dr.
Gorka,
Gorka, you have been
wait,
a senior advisor to the president. You've spent a lot of time around him and around Secret Service. I know you've spoken at his rallies before countless times. You've been to these rallies. You know how well protected they are. How did a firearm get through security? This is a Secret Service that's
Yeah,
doing this security work.
I'm going to be very careful what I say here, okay? The Secret Service under the current female director is not the Secret Service it was. I had personal issues myself with their performance at Mar-a-Lago on several of my visits, and I'm not going to say anything more than this. I am not impressed with the lack of speed and haste that I witnessed on the video today. I am sorry. Personal protection details do not work that slowly. That's all I'm going to say right now.
That's
Dr.
big
Gorka,
news.
it's Stealth Chaya here. Do you remember we spoke on
Yes.
the day after Christmas?
Yes.
And I said to you, please God, these rallies, they're going to try to assassinate Donald Trump at the rally. You need to get him extra security. What is going on with Secret Service? Can we get him private Israeli security? I have that whole recording. I'm going to pull it. Do you remember we spoke about this?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but
Okay.
so I want to so let's stick back to the news here a little bit, guys, because we're getting rapid updates here. We do know as well, for the new people that have joined us here, it looks like there are like 16 or 17,000 people in this space now. President Biden, still no statement from him, but we're hearing that he will be addressing the nation tonight in a primetime address, and we'll be live for that. We'll be covering it here right here in the space. I mean, I don't. We're not going to get into the politics of this yet. But I think it's very concerning that the president of the United States has not made a statement on it. The only thing we've heard from him, it was saying that he hadn't been briefed on the situation yet. We have been way ahead of him, apparently, here on X, which is just incredible. We're also hearing reports now that the second person that has been killed was just a rally attendee. They are not somebody that was apparently, this is the reporting that's coming out now. Nothing has been confirmed, but this was not somebody that was actively involved in the situation.
Nick, I can
And
confirm
they've
that
died.
from somebody that was there on Trump's team. Yes, It sounds like you've got shooter dead by Secret Service, and you've got a bystander, innocent rally goer, dead. And I want to ask Sebastian real quick. We had an incident in Mar-a-Lago too, Sebastian,
Yes,
last
2
December,
people so
and
far,
I told
dude.
Trump about it with Secret Service. So I'm just throwing that in, where we walked around willy-nilly, and I'm going, "Where's Secret Service?" Anyway,
Yeah.
quick question to you, Sebastian. Can you get those 3D printed guns through? I mean, I know they wand us and you walk through a thing, but would those go
No,
through? And
no, you can't. That was not a 3D printed gun. That was a semi-automatic weapon. That was made out of metal. You can't have a 3D printed
yeah,
gun fire 8 shots. It falls apart, and you've
I
got to
get
See,
have
it.
a
I
metal
heard
being
them.
barrel.
I know. I don't know how they get
arrested
it in. That's why
and
I'm
shot
baffled,
and
unless it's
killed.
smuggled
Yeah,
in
no,
before,
no.
after the
That's
sweep.
I wonder how
something.
many shooters now.
Somebody organizing it. I mean, if I had to postulate right now, somebody involved in setting it up, smuggle something up,
Yes,
and you
that's
leave
what
it
happened.
inside the
It was in
cordon before the
Pennsylvania.
cordon is set up. But no, you've got to be
You
mad.
you could
If
you
you're
could
within
do that.
firing
You could
range,
do
you've got to
that,
be
Gorka.
mad.
But there's a lot of blank zones. There's a lot of areas, and I've been to plenty of these rallies. You have too. There's a lot of areas where nobody's watching certain areas of the gates and what have you. You know, entryways, Secret Service, check all that. But there's definitely areas where I feel like, okay, if you wanted to throw a gun over there or throw something over into the tall grass and nobody's going to notice that, I feel like you could do that.
Guys, we're getting unconfirmed reports at Ross Alerts. I don't know if you have any more information on this. We're getting unconfirmed reports that the shooter was actually on the roof of a nearby
That's what
building.
I'm looking at right here.
That's unconfirmed at this point. There
Yeah,
is a
that's what
video
I'm seeing
circulating
too.
around.
According to Fadis, he's reporting. Yeah, so
See
Osane
it?
just posted to the shooter at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania can
Right
be
there.
seen dead on a roof of a nearby building after being killed by
Here we
U.S.
go. It's
Secret
Lee Harvey
Service.
all
Oh,
over again.
Oh God. So, Nick, as I mentioned earlier, it was a potential 22. I've got some military police guys DMing me. By listening to the audio, they said there was 1, 2, 3 aim shots. Then you can't see
That
Trump
looked like the
anymore
dude
because
that
he
was in the
bends down.
bleachers.
Then there was a mag dump, then a break, then one shot shooter down. They
Blue
said that
shirt.
the way that you can get in something like
No,
that
just
is
kidding.
either through they got somebody from either a law enforcement officer could have a gun been brought in. I mean, this is what they're saying to me on DM, or somebody from the Democratic Social,
Well, it was at
whatever,
a
I don't know what it's called,
fairground.
the Socialist Society. This is
And the
typically
area
how
where
you
the
would get
shooting
it.
took
It says
place is
that
where they
you
do
can
the
easily get a
rodeo.
rifle with a line of fire. This is what's being reported. I'm just really upset, obviously. So I'll see what else they say and I'll let you know.
Yeah, so I mean, this is just incredible, and I'm sorry, like information is just coming in so quickly. One unconfirmed report is that let me find the news story on it. Was that and this is coming from I'm so sorry, I'm trying to find this. This is from the Gateway Pundit. United States Secret Service, Florida Highway Patrol, and Palm Beach Sheriff engaged a car at Mar-a-Lago around the same time as the PA assassination attempt. Does anyone know anything about this? I mean, it's just
Yeah, Trump got
this
grazed.
is developing so quick.
The which assassination attempt?
The one that just happened just now, like against President Trump at his rally. They're reporting that there was a vehicle that was just engaged by the Secret Service, Florida State Police,
When, just
and
now?
Palm Beach Sheriff at Mar-a-Lago. So this seems to be highly coordinated.
Oh, shit.
Okay, but it seems like so OAN right now, One America News is now reporting
careful.
that Butler police have identified the Trump shooter as Mark Violets, a member of Antifa. That is reported by OAN, citing Butler County Police in Pennsylvania. That's
what I sent you, Nick.
yeah.
That's
So
what I
I
sent you,
got
the
it.
pictures and everything.
Yep. There's now a post on that. That I don't know if pinning to the top works on the space anymore. You guys just might have to go to my profile to see this stuff at this point. The space is very glitchy and all. But go ahead if you were trying to jump in, Dr. G. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Katie Pavlich just spoke on the phone to Ambassador Kip Tom, who was sitting in the front row at the Trump rally. He told me he believes there were 2 shooters, saying shots at President Trump came from different directions. He also saw others get hit. He also said he saw gun smoke. So, of course, when there's a shooting, you know, and if there's return fire or whatever, it can sound like it's coming from multiple locations. So let's just, you know,
Just
wait on that.
remember
But those are the
reports
Apache's on
from.
the
statements.
roof.
Just remember. Reports from eyewitnesses are almost always wrong. All right, we always look for multiple shooters when there's only one shooter. So super caution, super caution. Adrenaline dumps, sound echoing off buildings. You know. So let's stick with stuff that's got two or more sources. Okay.
We just got from well, Trump Jr. also tweeted a little bit ago. He said he'll never stop fighting to save America. That has been and keep in mind, guys. Right after he was shot, Trump started yelling. He started chanting "Fight, fight, fight," while raising his fist, which was huge news. That was a great sight. It gave us a lot of reassurance right off the bat. We're trying to confirm that this is an actual video of the shooter on a rooftop here. We'll get that posted here in just a second. Trying to confirm that with various sources. I don't want to just put out raw speculation at this point. But Javon, I want you to go ahead and jump in while we get this.
Yeah, Nick, just real quick, man. I mean, look, when you're not many people have taken shots or been shot at. Okay. So when you get shot at, folks, like you either bend or you meet the challenge. And I think President Trump has pretty much just shown that he is up for the task to defend this country. I mean, I'm telling you guys, like this is not, people usually fold when they get shot at. People panic. Hell, you hear a car go off and some people jump. This man stood resolute, raised his fist, and yelled, "Fight," as you just said, Nick. And he's not saying, we got to go out and fight them. What he's saying is we got
But
to
it's
go
not
out
the
and
first
vote.
time he did that. Remember when he was attacked at a rally and he stood
Exactly.
there ready to fight?
The
The Secret
man
Service
is
was
a
slow again.
fucking bulldog. Unleash this man. Unleash America. We got to vote for this man. I'm telling you guys right now. Please,
Amen,
please,
Javon.
please
Amen.
go out
Keep
and vote for
preaching.
this man.
Name me a liberal Democrat out there that if Secret Service has rushed them off the stage when a little corn pop fart's gone off would act like Trump just acted. That man has balls of fucking steel. Every American should feel patriotism today to see a man like that stand in the face
Amen.
of death and vote for that man.
With
Come
the
November.
with the American flag in the background, fist raised. I'm telling you guys, this is an iconic photo, and we just witnessed something that I think will live on in American history. So make sure you go out and vote for that man. That's all I'm gonna say. Vote for
Absolutely.
him.
And from here on
Okay,
out,
yeah.
don't give any quarter to anybody out there anymore that but this, but that, and Trump this and Trump that. No more quarter. Till the
Oh,
election. Fight like fucking hell
breaking
for this.
news. Elon Musk has fully endorsed President Trump.
Yeah, this was reported a while ago.
Oh, sorry. I've been doing media hits for the last hour. Apologies. Unbelievable.
So are we
Nick, where did
expecting
you see
like a
that report,
Tupac
Nick?
bump in the
Sorry, I was
polls, or
tweeting.
what
I
are we
just
looking at?
tweeted out the video. It's unconfirmed of the Trump shooter actually on a rooftop. If this video turns out to be actually a video of the shooter, it changes everything because it's not just somebody. There could be more than one shooter. We've heard that all night. We've heard that somebody in the crowd is in custody as well. Don't know what they've been charged with yet at this point. But now we have this unconfirmed video of a shooter on a rooftop during the Trump rally.
Yeah, Nick.
And
What
Nick, you
else?
reported that. Hey, Nick, you reported that. We
I'm,
reported
I,
that. You
I,
said OAN reported that the Butler sheriff is saying that's the confirmation. Because I just walked into the network. I'm going to
Yeah,
go on the air.
they're
I'm
dragging the
I'm
sending
body.
not seeing
this.
that.
I'm
State
sending the
police.
video
So
You
over. I
can
sent
see
it
the
to
state
Gorka.
police dragging the body out.
I
according
sent
to
it to
the
Dr.
internet
Gorka and
rumor,
Nick and Matt.
she
That
said it was
video.
glass fragments, not bullet hit Trump.
Well, that's one. Yeah,
Oh,
I
that could
just
be
I just
from
saw that as
the
well.
teleprompter. The teleprompter is made of glass. It could have fractured the glass. That's possible.
Yep, that would make sense, but that is
I don't know, guys. Look at the
that's one
teleprompters, but
report at
no, no,
this
no.
point.
Look after the shots
That's
rang
one
out. The
report at this
teleprompters
point.
were fine. I'm looking at the video from the shooting now. The teleprompters were intact. They were not
Interesting.
shattered.
Well, they had.
I saw
Interesting.
that. I saw it
I'm
intact as
looking
well,
at it right
Dan.
now
But it,
on
I
my
mean,
air on our
they
network.
had a
no.
witness on BBC who said that at least he said that the witnesses confirmed that the shooter was on the rooftop. I've seen the same
Okay.
video. I'm not sure if it's there,
Sebastian, you're saying
but
state police and county are both saying that now.
Yeah,
Nick,
no,
what
no,
did you
no,
say now?
no. On the video, you can see the state police
Oh,
carrying the
bringing the
body.
body out. I got you. Okay, I'm
but
going to
we're
jump
not
on
sure
the
if the
air,
video is
Nick.
confirmed right now, Dan.
No, this stuff is happening very quickly in real time, and we're being very careful to kind of caveat everything because we're learning new information so quickly. It's coming in, and as soon as it comes across, we have a team in the background, thanks to like Raw's alerts and such, that are helping us dissect all of this news, go through it, try to confirm it as best we can before we actually relay it on here. And all these updates can be seen on both my page and Rawls Alerts page. Can't pin them to the top because the space is glitched out for whatever reason. Stealth, go ahead and jump in, and we're probably gonna have an update here in like 45 seconds. So make it quick.
Okay, so I just sent you over the video from the rooftop, and I'm sending you over a couple other things that I'm being sent. I think what's most important right now is that everybody from our side, Republicans, MAGA, Trumpers, anything, a national day of prayer. Remember where you were when this happened. There should be no riots on the street, no crazy protests. We act accordingly with the level of how Trump behaved himself, which was just phenomenal, professional, a hero. We need to go focus on prayer and complete respect for Donald Trump, because
either because there's so many phone calls being placed or because of security protocols, it's hard to get signals out. They're struggling. A lot of us, you see us texting because that is frankly easier than getting people on the phone. But there are a lot of people who went to that rally there.
Trump already made
as you were just talking about, to go into a rally like that, you go through levels of screening. So when you were showing that rooftop, I would assume that is at a distance from the rally, that was not someone who was in the confines of the area where the rally was taking place. We don't know that yet. We need to get that kind of context from law enforcement. But I imagine that's why our producers in the control room put up that video for everyone to see.
I guess I was busy trying to see what was going on. Apparently,
Affiliate there in the area,
it was all staged.
We are being told that 2 people are dead. The shooter, as you said, Margaret, and an attendee of this rally. I want to bring in Sam Vinograd, a former DHS official, a contributor to CBS News.
Staged
Sam,
with 2 people
where
dead?
do you think this investigation is right now? What are officials on the ground doing? We may have lost Sam. Sam, can you hear me?
Twitter or X. Apparently, it was trending.
Just to reiterate, we have Butler County District Attorney telling KDKA political reporter John Delano 2 people who were at this rally are dead. That includes the shooter, according to the Butler County DA, and an audience member. Former President Trump appears to have been grazed in some way by a firearms discharge.
And we don't know how many other injuries there may be.
No, but our reporters, Jake Rosen and Olivia Rinaldi, Jake Rosen has provided interviews already about people leaving the rally with apparent signs of either being injured or being near people with apparent injuries, blood on their shirts, blood on their clothing. These are people who are Trump supporters attending the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Former President Trump is reportedly in a safe space, according to his campaign. The President Biden, briefed on this, as has the Vice President.
And I should say, I believe we showed that rooftop because of the reporting we had that this was from a distance and an elevated shot.
That it may have been, yeah.
But we should say, in the environment we are in, it is not difficult to get a weapon that you can get through a metal detector.
CBS is showing
not
the picture,
all weapons,
the video.
as we talk about those 3D printed guns and other kind of weapons necessarily will be detected. And so we should give that caveat. But that rooftop we keep showing, I'd love to get more detail or context to that.
And no security is 100% tight. We go to these events, supporters go to support their candidates, politicians who put themselves in front of crowds. This day and age, we all know the risks. But as you said, Bob, former President Trump loved these types of events. He loves these types of events. He likes to be as close to the people as he can.
His hand in the air as he leaves stage, he's on his feet. This really has, you can see him there ducking down. Something hit his head in some way. He ducks down. It really reminds any person who has looked at history in the past 40 years of 1981 when President Ronald Reagan was shot at the Hilton Hotel just outside by John Hinckley, trying to assassinate President Reagan. Reagan ducked down into his motorcade, went ultimately to George Washington University Hospital, just a few blocks from CBS News here in Washington. And there was so much confusion in the wake of that shooting. Reagan wasn't fully aware of how he had been shot, if he had been shot. in some way was saying maybe he can just go back to the White House. Ultimately, they decided to bring Reagan to George Washington University Hospital. These decisions happen sometimes in a nanosecond that can have enormous consequences for global politics, American democracy,
That's not where Trump
presidency.
was.
We do know President Biden, has been briefed. Former President Trump, his campaign says he is safe. And KDKA has been told by the Butler County District Attorney that the alleged assailant, attempted assailant, the shooter, is now dead. The shooter is dead along with a participant in the rally. And that coincides with what I heard from one of the attendees on the record. Congressman Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania told me just a few minutes ago on the phone, it was mayhem. People were ducking down onto the ground. There was concern that many people were being hurt. And
our Scott McFarland is outside the rally, outside where this all took place. Let's bring him back in. Scott?
He looks confused.
Can somebody check it?
Go ahead, Scott. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine. It's Scott McFarland in Butler County.
Yeah, we know.
Scott, go ahead. You're on the air. What is the latest that you're hearing, and what can you see from where you are?
Okay, sorry for the imposition. We're having some bad cell phone signals here, and it's part of the response that we're also kind of pinned into a parking lot right now. Over the past hour, we've seen law enforcement and Secret Service just move people back further away from this scene. It is quite clearly an active investigative scene. I also noticed 2 helicopter landings, a minimum of 2, about 2 to 5 minutes after the former president was ushered off site or ushered off the stage. We know there are people in paramilitary gear, sidearms, moving through this area. Secret Service is here, so is local police. But a good chunk of this crowd, estimate hundreds of people, still remain near the site, sharing stories, some of them sharing embraces and tears, and trying to watch what happens next, even from a distance. And everybody we're talking to has a similar story to tell, that they may have mistook it for firecrackers. It was that type of quick pop and the same decibel and the same tone and tenor of a firecracker, but everybody recognized within short order.
So maybe it was a 22.
It was gunfire, and they hit the ground. We spoke to a lady who was in the front row, just steps away from the former president, who also described seeing
like
a teardrop-style form of blood on the side of his face and a little more around his ear. And she heard him say, "Gotta get my shoes," to Secret Service, she says, before the former president was ushered off the stage. In Butler County, this is a fairgrounds. This is a farm fairgrounds where there are events that have people not of this size, but of quite a large size. There are rafters here. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of chairs. I'd estimate the crowd here as thousands today. Nearly all of them, though, are now gone.
And as you were speaking, Scott, we saw photos of former President Trump up close, and you can see what you just described and what that eyewitness described to you as almost a teardrop type of bloodstream coming down his face, yet his fist was raised. He is defiant. He is defiant. There is that photo for you to see. Yep. We are also getting more and more statements pouring in, speaking to just the heightened level of emotion right now. We're hearing from former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who, of course, her husband was attacked at their home. She wrote, as one whose family has been the victim of political violence, I know firsthand that political violence of any kind has no place in our society. I thank God that former President Trump is safe.
There's anger, though, from the Trump side.
I don't know anybody talking about Secret Service roll on within 2 seconds.
Savita, who is one of the top campaign advisors to Trump, he said they tried to keep Trump.
I hear nothing.
They tried to keep Trump off the ballot, and they tried to put him in jail, and now you see this. So you see a politically charged response from Chris LaSavita.
The top taking it right to where Democrats are trying to prevent it from going. You saw former Speaker Pelosi issue a statement talking about the political violence her family had experienced and condemning it in this context and saying how glad she was that former President Trump is safe. You have the expectation that the White House will soon issue some kind of statement. We know that both the vice president and the president have been briefed on what's been going on.
So where are they?
They themselves, of course, have Secret Service detail, and you have to imagine that there's an alert level across the board right now. But one of the things that we need to pull back, that is just incredibly incendiary at a moment of incredible sensitivity. to say something like that, to allege whatever they means.
Your
There's
political
no
rival
context to
was
who
almost
they
assassinated,
are who are trying to
and
keep them
nothing
off
to
the
hear
ballot,
from the
but
two
they
people
tried to
that
put
are
them in
part of the
jail,
other
and now
side.
you see
It is
this.
Trump's top campaign advisor in many ways.
Exactly. Those words have extreme weight. But if you
Why would John be blocked in here?
separate topic, very much related,
You
the
hadn't pissed me
language
off yet,
around
have
this
you?
campaign has been about us versus the system.
Yes, Laura,
me
they
versus
showed
them,
him.
that all the legal cases against Donald Trump he claims are politically motivated to prevent him from re-election. By alleging that there is a connection to this attempt on his life, it would escalate that. That is Pennsylvania State Police put out a statement. Adriana, if you want to.
We have that right here. Pennsylvania State Police confirming everything that we have been reporting, that shots were fired at former President Donald Trump today during his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It says that they don't have an update
John
on
Gotti.
former President
I
Trump's
don't know
condition,
how to
but we know
stop
from
that.
the Trump campaign, from the Secret
Remember,
Service,
I'm a kind of a
both
semi-shadow
have
band,
said
and
that
you're
the
part of this
president
group
is safe.
when you come in here.
But we also don't know what safe means. Safe could be a lot of things. We did see in the video and the photos after this incident that the president had his fist in the air.
Wait, it wouldn't let you say Rico?
That he appeared to have some blood on the side of his face. We don't know exactly what happened, if he was grazed or if it was worse. There we have that picture. His ear there, the top of his ear is red. But like you said, Margaret, now is a time to bring down the temperature and assess what happened, ensure that everyone is safe. Already, one person who went to this rally to support their guy is dead. That's the reporting that we're getting from our affiliate KDKA. You know, I'm just thinking about who that may have been, you know, what mindset they were in as they were going to this rally. Like you said earlier, Bob, people attend these events, you know, like
Yeti says it's
follow
happened
them
a
across
lot
the
to him
country.
lately.
His supporters are so passionate, and what can change in an instant.
It's so true. And the tension in this country has been so high. There has been such a concern about domestic violent extremism and political violence. So cooling tensions, cooling tempers is what you would hope leaders would do in this dangerous moment, because this, as you're alluding to there, these are passionate people who showed up at that rally. It's hot outside. They're standing there. They went through security. They are there because they love Donald Trump. And they are now being told by the head of his campaign that there is some kind of alleged connection between what just happened to the candidate and whoever they are. In that, I'm referring there to top Trump campaign official. I want to read to you what I'm getting text from some of our reporters on the ground who were saying, Olivia Rinaldi saying there was a palpable feeling of anger towards the media after this happened. The people in the crowd turned toward them. They started shouting, telling us it's our fault. It's a very tense environment. So what law enforcement will now do is try to prevent any kind of retaliation.
Exactly. And the agency right now at the center of this, on the scene, is the Secret Service, which is conducting a live investigation. I want to bring in CBS News contributor AP Smith, who was on the phone with us, a former Secret Service official. Can you hear me?
Yes, I have you.
Go ahead. What are you hearing from your former colleagues about what may have transpired? And based on your training, what are agents focused on right now?
Well, obviously, securing that scene and beginning an investigation is the utmost important, but that follows only making sure that the former president is safe and that, you know, he's now in hopefully a medical facility where things can be looked at. So there's probably multiple things going on at the same time. It looks like, from the standpoint of what we saw, the video and the pictures so far, that the Secret Service reacted in the way that they're trained to do. The counter-assault team, which you saw the tactical team come up on stage, they're there to cover while the agents working the president either renders medical aid to him or evacuates him completely to get him out of harm's way. So all of that looks like it occurred in the way that it should have.
And AT,
so
you know,
there's a statement
your
from a witness.
former colleagues, the Secret Service trains for this. I mean, I've done reporting at their training facility here outside of Washington, where there is.
One witness told BBC that he was outside of the rally and can only hear the former president talking. when he noticed a man on top of a roof. We noticed a guy crawling up the roof of the building beside us at 50 feet away from us, Greg said. He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Greg said that he pointed the rifleman out to the police. Next thing we know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking? So he was pointed out, and maybe they just didn't say, they said, fuck it. But that's just an eyewitness. Thank you.
Area outside a perimeter and an open air event like this. You know, it's one thing to usher people through metal detectors and wad them down, but you can't control the sky. You can't control, you know, parts of these areas that are outside the perimeter. How does the Secret Service account for that?
There should have been snipers.
What the investigation probably will end up showing us, you know, how far away was this assailant?
Sheriff's Department.
What sort of access did he have? As you said, the security in these kinds of events, whether they're indoors or outdoors, or really, if you think of it, there are three concentric circles. There's an outer perimeter, a middle perimeter, and the innermost perimeter, which is closest to the protectee, the former president. So it will be interesting to see what the distances are here, and you know whether or not something nefarious occurred that they may yet have to get to the bottom of. But to your point, the Secret Service agents train constantly for this kind of an event at the Raleigh Training Center in Beltsville, Maryland. There's a mock sound, there's mock motorcades, and obviously they.
You know, when I initially thought maybe they had used a drone.
In the video, you can see how they responded.
With a rifle on it.
The essence of what their training is, and not only that, you saw how close the former president's limousine was to the stage. So part of that is the equation as well, to be able to not only secure him, render what medical aid he may need immediately, which is probably why they stayed there a little longer than you would normally think. Instead of just grabbing him and rushing off stage, they wanted to make sure that anything they might do in that regard wouldn't further injure him. So they want to make sure that
I want you to hold on the line for just 1 second, because we are getting word that President Biden has issued a statement. I want to go to Ed O'Keefe.
Is it live?
Who has that statement with him. Ed is in Milwaukee. Ed, go ahead.
Adriana, the president has issued a written statement saying, I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him and his family and for all those who were at the rally as we await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it. CBS News can also report that the president will be making a statement in person or on camera later tonight. It is unclear where exactly, but he is at his beach house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
Yeah, put those red hearts for Vice President Trump.
The motorcade has left that house.
Hey, Bobby Joe.
He may be
Long
going
time
to
no
a
see.
facility there in Rehoboth Beach that can be used for unexpected, unforeseen events like this when he might have to make some kind of a statement. It's unclear, but we'll wait and hear. We should also point out there have been statements tonight, rare ones, from George W. Bush condemning this violence and saying he too is relieved to hear that former President Trump is safe, and former President Barack Obama and his wife Michelle saying much the same. It's not often that you get former and current presidents making statements on anything, but obviously in a situation this grave, it is completely understandable what exactly the current president might say and how he would speak to this tonight. And this attack on his bitter political rival remains to be seen, but it's going to be arguably one of the most challenging statements any sitting president's ever had to make at a time of this apparent, just ongoing sort of cleaving of the country and the nastiness of its politics. Adriana.
A nasty time in politics and a horrific day in America.
What
Thankfully, former President Trump is safe. We're being told by his campaign as well as the Secret Service. The Secret Service, of course, their security is at the center of this. I want to bring A.T. Smith back into this conversation. A.T. is a former Secret Service official, and we're getting new information, A.T., that this is being called a sniper incident and that this person was outside of the perimeter. Tell us what it means
so who was
when
the dude on the
something's
inside?
labeled officially as a sniper incident. What does that mean to you, and especially for agents working this on the ground?
Well, if that does turn out to be the case, then obviously it would be someone with a very long-range rifle, similar to, a deer rifle or something like that, with a long-range scope. So if, in fact, someone was in a place outside of that perimeter and were able to do that, it would have had to have been quite a distance. Going back to what I said a moment ago,
and you'd have to be
normal
high.
Security plan is going to involve three
to get over the bleachers
rings
and
of
drop.
security, an outer, a middle, and an inner perimeter. If this person somehow made their way beyond that and was able to do this, that will be a point within this investigation, to try to determine what happened and why it happened, quite frankly.
Now to think of
And
the
ET,
building that
how
had the
large
shooter,
are
that couldn't have
perimeters
been
for
him.
these types of events?
That's not even higher than the
for someone
bleachers.
to have been able to breach the perimeter, have been posted potentially outside of it, and have the precision that they may have had. All we know is we see some blood on the president's ear. How wide is the perimeter usually?
It really depends on the venue. If there's natural barriers between, sort of the outskirts of the perimeter and a farther distance, and we're talking about, natural obstructions, then that is going to play a role in how big the perimeter becomes. It sounds like, if what we are hearing here is correct, and this person was in fact neutralized, there was a counter sniper team there whose responsibility it is to be on the lookout, to constantly monitor these long-range potential threats. And if, in fact, that is the case, and that's what happened, and they did neutralize him, it sounds to me like the counter-assault team, the counter-sniper team reacted correctly. And again, if they've killed this suspect, then that's part of why they're there.
It is now the top of the hour, and I want to recap for anyone joining us.
Come on, where's the Sheriff's Department at?
The hard-to-believe incident that has recently transpired. Former President Trump, while addressing a crowd of thousands in Butler County, Pennsylvania, ducked as he heard, and the crowd heard shots ring out. The former president was swept away by Secret Service agents, as we're seeing right now in the video. And even after he ducked down, you heard those shots continue. We are being told that the assailant has been neutralized, has been killed, and our local affiliate reports that another person, an attendee of this rally, has also been killed. We have reporters who were there on the ground, who've spoken to eyewitnesses who describe, of course, a chaotic scene. One person conducting CPR on a victim who that person said was shot in the head. We're going to slow this video down so you can see it in detail. The former president, addressing crowds, raises his right hand toward his ear and drops down toward the ground. It looks like he ducks down toward the ground. You see a motorcade leaving the area. There he is on a hot day in Butler County, Pennsylvania, where, there are folks behind him. There are folks in front of him.
Yeah, look, there's a kid in the background.
Security and Secret Service that jump in hardly a second after this happened. I mean, they just appeared out of nowhere. Scott McFarland was there and saw all of this unfold. Scott, we're going to bring you in. Bring us back to that moment when you heard
what to tell you, John.
that noise.
That's probably why I
thought,
just say a lot of what I think.
What happened in this scene?
It was uniquely jarring. Again, it had that same sound of fireworks, that same tone, that same volume, and that same rapidity. A series of about 8 to 10 of those. It took just a few moments, though, for us to realize it was something much more sinister than that. There would be no place for fireworks at an event like this. I was up on a press rafter, facing the former president from above, and those of us on the rafters jumped below to get beneath them, all kinds of equipment and
you
tables
wouldn't be able to
falling
see
on
the
top
shooter,
of us
though,
to shield ourselves, and we could look out and see other members of the crowd, of which there were thousands here today, doing the same, and face planting into the ground, into the grass, up against the bike rack barriers that surrounded all the chairs here. We could see after the former president was moved off the stage, some group of law enforcement in paramilitary gear rush as a unit to what would be the former president's right side of the stage. From our view, the left side of the stage, about 90 seconds after. Soon after that, we saw 2 helicopter landings, helicopters that almost immediately lifted back up. Behind me are cars that are in line to leave. They haven't moved. over the last hour. It may not move. It seems that they have stopped the departures from the scene. This is an active investigation, no doubt an active criminal investigation, and the crowd that didn't get out immediately is here now for quite a while. They're in their cars, air conditioning running, with the exits either closed off or slowed down. It's like this fairgrounds kind of in the middle of nowhere in Butler County, Pennsylvania. It's a populous county, but it's in a remote site, the type of site where you could have all the open space you'd need for hundreds, if not thousands, of rally goers. It's only a one-lane road in certain stretches that gets you in or out of this area. It's going to be a very slow departure for those who are here. But we're only a couple hundred yards from businesses. There are some manufacturing businesses. There are some car dealerships on what is County Route 68, which is...
Now, why the timing of this? Well, I saw it ranted, but I don't know if that rooftop's high enough to where they wanted to do the shooting. But now this is going to cover the news. It's going to cover up the fact that Joe Biden and his blunders have been fucking up the news the whole week. NATO, or the peace treaty in Israel, is probably about to go to shit. This is how they start wars, right? Are they going to blame this on Russia or Antifa? They tried Antifa. Let's see if that one sticks. But what if it's Russian collusion? Or what if it's, fucking, what's that place? Hamas. What if they try to take him out? Or better yet, what if George Soros tried to have him taken out? I mean, it is Antifa, supposedly. And you know who they're funded by. Craziness, man. Never, like I said, I'm 40, about to be 43. I mean, it happened during Reagan, but you think I'm going to remember that?
Republican candidate from Pennsylvania. Mr. McCormick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Please describe what you saw, what transpired, and where you were when all of this happened.
Yeah, well, I was in the front row. President Trump was facing the audience, and I was to his right in the front row. And he had just announced me.
Oh, no shit, Bobby Joe?
And invited me to come up on the stage. And
where were you?
On the stage, and then he said, no, I'll call you up in a little bit. And,
4 hours
and
away.
about a minute or two later, there was a number of shots. The popping sounds, it was like 7 or 8 shots. And it wasn't clear exactly where they were coming from. It felt like they were coming to President Trump's left as he faced the audience. And, it was just mayhem. There was the Secret Service immediately knocked him down and jumped on top of him. And then they got him to his feet, and they were surrounding him. And you saw this fist come out of the group.
I wonder how much
I think
that hat can go
making
for.
Clear that he seemed like he was okay. I don't know if he was actually hit or not. There looked like there was a little bit of blood, but his fist came out as, I guess, a sign that he was okay. And then to my back.
Oh, you had to get a new phone, huh?
There was some commotion, and I
threw
looked
away
over my
your
shoulder.
other one
The
after
moment
the incident?
shots happened, everybody got down on their knees or down on their, laid down. And unfortunately, someone to my rear in the bleachers had been hit. And the people around, it looked like it looked like a large man. People were trying to administer first aid, and there was blood everywhere, unfortunately. And eventually, within a few minutes, the police came and carried that person out, presumably to get the kind of emergency care.
What if it was a registered Democrat from Georgia?
It was obviously a very frightening moment. It was clear that the president was under attack, and it was clear that people were being hurt, and it wasn't clear whether there was one shooter or two shooters or whether they were done. And so you can imagine it was a crowd of 15,000 people. It seemed about 15,000 is what the law enforcement people had told us. And so you can imagine what kind of panic there was with this kind of horrible thing happening.
And David, stay with us. We just played video that showed that moment where everyone was crowded down. And in this crowd of thousands, everyone is just just still, hardly moving, as they react to what are the sounds of gunfire. People thought they were fireworks at first. Then it became clear that it was gunfire. From your vantage point, how far were you from the president? You were in the first row, and could you tell if he was grazed, perhaps? I know you said you're not sure if he took a direct hit, but describe for me, from how close you were, what you could tell happened in terms of his potential injuries.
You know, I really couldn't tell. I did see just a little bit of blood as they were going around him, and then, as I said, I saw the fist come out. But I couldn't tell the nature of his injuries. It all happened in the blink of an eye. And initially,
this is what happened. Here it was Hillary Clinton.
Only human.
Dodge this.
David, you describe, one of the former President Trump in front of you, and then a person behind you who was hit. So these bullets could have been coming from any direction, or did you have any sense of where they were coming from? I know that you said that you weren't sure if they were coming from one place.
Right. Well, it wasn't clear to me. From where I was sitting, it felt like the bullets probably came from across the other side of the crowd, because if they missed the president, then they would have hit somebody behind me, or someone in my part of the crowd. So I thought I heard shots coming from that direction, but others thought that they heard shots coming from other directions. And I was a military person, so one of the things, it's always it's not always easy to tell where the shots.
Where were you about an hour and 35 minutes ago?
They weren't huge sounds. They weren't booming sounds. They sounded like almost a small caliber weapon. In moments of chaos like this, you always have to be careful.
Make sure you set your notifications, because Sam's on the story. Sam's at the story. You heard it here first. Check him out. Check him out.
And how severe were those injuries?
It was really hard to tell. It was a lot of blood, so it wasn't clear where the bullet had struck him, and how how severe the wound was. He looked to be unconscious, but even that's not entirely clear to me. But it was obviously a lot of blood, so I'm assuming he was pretty severely wounded, and I'm hoping and praying he's okay.
That wasn't a lot of blood. It's a very vascular portion of the body.
David, stand by. Thank you so much for that account. You were there. You were in the front row. I'm here with Bob Costa, who's been, as we're sitting here, reporting to you. Bob is next to me on the phone, making phone calls quietly to all of his sources to find out what happened. Is the former president
dude, I'd have to go back. I don't know where it's at anymore.
President Biden is going to be addressing the nation in minutes. We're standing by for that. You see the shot that we have up, waiting for his arrival. Bob, what's the latest that you've been hearing?
The latest remains the suspect has been killed, one dead in the shooting at Trump's rally. We're still trying to learn more from those witnesses who were there about what exactly happened on stage in terms of a firearm being discharged. Did it hit something and then ricochet onto Trump? And then you see there's confusion about exactly what happened in terms of the injury for former President Trump. This is a major moment for President Biden, not only the president of the United States, becomes just days before the Republican National Convention, and as President Biden is facing consternation in his party over his recent debate performance in Atlanta. The president is someone who has had his differences, to say the least, with former President Trump over the course of this campaign. But we are in a fragile national moment when there's this kind of violence at a political event for your opponent. This will be a presidential moment, if there ever was one, in the 2024 presidential campaign. We are soon to hear from the President of the United States, who is at his weekend residence, a place he loves returning to for peace and quiet, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Here's the president.
I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to him shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. But so far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that there's thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do, okay?
Mr. President, do you think it was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried about President safety? That was President Biden addressing the nation after former President Trump was presumptively shot at a rally in Pennsylvania. Shots rang out at this rally. We are told the potential shooter is dead. Someone in the crowd is also dead. But what really stood out to me from this address was the president called former President Trump Donald. I'm trying to get a hold of Donald. I hope he's okay. All of the kind of political vernacular has kind of faded away, and now he's talking human to human.
They wanted him to
look.
He
said Donald is with doctors. I'm trying to get a hold of him. He, of course, condemned what happened, condemned political violence. He said, quote, "It's sick."
He also said he's trying to learn more information. We do know that some kind of firearm was discharged.
Okay.
And we're trying to learn about how what exactly happened. We have heard from Donald Trump Jr. as well, just in the last few minutes.
They had to rewrite it. I
didn't
even think about
an
that.
aide.
Thanks, John.
Don Jr. was not there. Donald Trump Jr. not there. But he said, quote, "I just spoke to my father on the phone, and he is in great spirits. He will never stop fighting to save America, no matter what the radical left throws at him." Okay, we don't know about the intention of this shooter or motivation in any way at this time. That's a quote from Donald Trump Jr., former president's son. President Biden, in his brief remarks from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, a place where he likes to enjoy some peace and quiet on the weekend, not this weekend, having to speak out about violence at a political rally. He called it sick.
We have Major Garrett also on the line. Major, what do you take away from the president's remarks, and what are you hearing from your sources?
Oh, shit.
Well, first of all, everyone, I just got to Milwaukee. I got here about 5 minutes ago, right off the airplane, and was shocked to hear the news out of Butler, Pennsylvania. The president's remarks are all the nation knows, and he's at the top of the pyramid of all the available information. I can tell you this from Milwaukee. I just got off the phone with Reince Priebus, former Republican National Committee chairman, former White House chief of staff to Donald Trump, and now currently the chairman of the Republican National Convention here in Milwaukee. He said three things. One, he's been on the phone with those close to former President Trump. The former President Trump is well, does not expect to change anything about the program here in Milwaukee. Will come in here, if anything, more energized, more raring to go. That is a word from Reince Priebus about everything that is planned
How long do you
for the
think
4 days to commence
before he does another
tomorrow
outdoor
here
rally?
in Milwaukee. I asked
since
Reince Priebus, do you expect
RNC
the
starts on the
security
15th.
situation here in Milwaukee to change as a result of the events in Butler,
Oh,
Pennsylvania?
it's already on X,
He said, not
Kelly.
yet. He said,
Number
but I
2
will
trending
probably
is
get a
staged.
briefing in the not-too-distant future. There are a lot of other priorities ahead of that right now, but he's expecting that something might change. I can tell you this, having just gotten here to downtown Milwaukee, already the standard lengthy multi-block security perimeter is being erected as I speak. Blocks are being blocked off all around. That standard protocol for Republican or Democratic national conventions has been for many, many years. What we don't know is, starting tomorrow, will the plans that they had going into this event in any way be tightened as a result of the violence in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the very near
now that would be fucking
miss
gangster
on former President Trump. Reince Priebus did not have any insights into that. But what he does know and what he was able to convey to me is former president is well.
He did, Root.
Expects to be here all 4 days in Milwaukee and wants the program to go as
It looked like
planned.
it was just a
That's what I
graze,
know.
so that's a plus.
We
But
now
still,
have
2
a
people
doctor
died
who was
so
on
far.
the scene and treating people, Dr. Jim Sweetland. Dr. Sweetland, what did you see and who did you treat? What were the extent of the injuries?
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me on. I was in the stands about 30 feet away from an individual that received a head wound, a headshot. He was on the lower portion of the same stands. I was looking at the graph when I heard what sounded like firecrackers going off.
I was thinking of Mike Tyson when I first saw it.
I saw the Secret Service then swarm over Donald Trump, and somebody near the location of this individual cried out, he's down, he's hurt, he's been shot. And so being an emergency department physician, I just went into muscle memory and went down there to assist him.
And how did you assist him, doctor? And what did he look like?
You think
what were the extent of his wounds?
the guy that was shot in the first
it sounds like this was
died.
a male. What can you
You
describe
think that's
for us?
because the shooter was
This
trying to
male,
get the
he
windage
appeared to
right?
be,
He's like, oh,
mid-30s.
fuck,
I
it didn't
believe
drop.
He was Hispanic.
Or it dropped too quick.
He was wearing a Trump rally shirt. He was shot in the head. His body was twisted around and wedged between 2 benches that were in the stand. He was not breathing. He did not have a pulse or at all. He appeared fairly gravely ill. With the help of 3 other people, I was able to get him back up on the bench, and I administered CPR. I breathed for him, standard CPR, and also did chest compressions. There was a lot of blood that was spilt on the stands where he lay, as well as brain matter.
Oh, shit.
Doctor, did he appear to have any family with him, or did he seem like he was alone?
He seemed like there was 2 family members. I continued to try to resuscitate him. 2 Pennsylvania State police officers approached and tapped me and said, "We got him." They're big guys. They lifted him off the bench like a rag doll. They thought I was family. I said, no, I'm an emergency department physician just trying to help. And they gathered up 2 family members and they left.
Doctor, this is Margaret Brennan in Washington. I am sorry for all that you have gone through. Thank you for sharing your account. I wonder if you can share with us any detail of what you witnessed in terms of whether you saw what the injury was caused by. Was there impact from the bullet, or, as we're seeing rumors of, was there shrapnel, was there glass that sprayed that also caused injuries in the area?
Yeah, no, this was a bullet wound that was in the right temporal area above the right ear.
Oh, wow.
The bone was elevated, and there was profuse blood and excuse me for saying this, brain matter coming there.
Yeah, brain matter, he's done.
So it really was a bullet wound, an entry wound.
At least in a combat.
Looking at him, I did not examine him beyond performing CPR. I did not see an exit wound.
Did you, doctor, have any visibility into others in the area who might have had injuries? And could you tell from the distance you were at what the former president was injured by? We can see in images that there was blood, but we don't know if for example, he had a close call, if this was shrapnel, if this was glass, or do you have any way of knowing?
Fucking grabbed his ear.
I have no way of knowing the injuries to the president. I was focused entirely on that poor individual that was shot. And I once you're in that mode, you really don't pay attention to surroundings.
You're right.
I did look briefly for any guns or weapons in the area where he was or around where other members of his family were. I didn't see any weapons, no guns, no knives, nothing.
Could you tell the distance at which the shot was taken? Did you see the origin of the shot?
I couldn't tell. Again, I'm not a
telemetry
expert, but the way the wound entered, it was, I think, from being trees or from a distance, it seemed. And sometimes it looked like an assassination. They'll shoot the individual in front of them so they then can shoot their true target. I just thought of that as I was dealing with this individual.
Mm-hmm. Doctor, since you are a medical professional, the fact that the former president was able to stand up, we heard him say, you know, get my shoe. He had a trickle of blood, but he had his arms around others. That would, as
like
we are hearing from these statements from his campaign, suggest that he is fine.
It still hit him.
What was it that you think took him off his feet?
So far, Telly,
I
yes.
don't know because I did not witness that. When I turned around,
so far, though.
The Secret Service were already piled on him, and my attention was entirely on this individual, so I could not really assess the president how he was walking off the stage. The first thing I said when I got up and I turned to my friend said, did Trump walk off the stage? And he said, yes. And so to me, that indicated that the wound was not severe, at least at that moment.
Doctor, you were there as an attendee. Tell us about the level of security required to enter these fairgrounds.
It was quite tight. I mean, it was a good hour to get in. There were an hour to get in the line to go through the metal detectors. I happen to have artificial knees that always lights up metal detectors, and
so I wonder how far out the shooter was there.
And they confirmed that I had that. It was quite tight. I felt pretty secure there. Okay. Also, where my vantage point in the stands, I could observe.
There's no more grassy and all, man. They cut it down for solar panels.
I could observe what I consider to be SWAT snipers with silencers and different guns.
What happened to him?
I think we just lost him.
The reason, Adriana, that description of the distance is so important is it gets to the security protocols. Clearly, the security perimeter was not broad and wide enough. If, as we were just hearing from our eyewitness, it took over an hour to get through those metal detectors.
Yeah, but the top of the closest building, you'd think there already been somebody up there.
Distance to take fairly.
Because that would be the first place you would put a sniper,
Secret Service detailee.
I just got a text
or at least someone guarding
from the
outside.
president's son, Donald Trump Jr. He's been on the phone with his father. He was not at the event. He says, as we've been reporting, his father is doing fine. He's doing fine. That's from Donald Trump Jr., the son of former President Donald Trump.
I understand our political reporter, Ed O'Keefe, is standing by. I believe he's in Milwaukee. Ed, are you there? Can you hear me?
That's right. Margaret, I can. Can you hear me?
I can. Ed, we already knew that Milwaukee was in a heightened level of preparedness security-wise. Because this is a large gathering. All large gatherings these days are highly scrutinized, but for the RNC, there's high security. Do you have any sense on the ground if protocols are changing, or if any of the Secret Service you're seeing there has any indication of what went wrong?
Dude, Milwaukee's going to be like a
during the
militarized zone
day,
for
in
this
the hours
next week.
before this, we observed local police and other police agencies that get sent here to assist Milwaukee local police in dealing with things like traffic control, crowd control. They were out and about sort of reviewing the lay of the land, getting a sense of it. In the hours since then, we haven't seen a few blocks from the convention site any real change in police posture. But we know that around the time the former president's campaign rally was beginning, coincidentally, the so-called security sweep, or the thorough review of everything inside the convention perimeter, was beginning, led by the Secret Service. It was supposed to continue into the overnight hours. We'll see now if it is potentially extended a few hours or not. And we'll also see, as Major was reporting earlier, whether there's any change to events that are scheduled to begin tomorrow. I know of one, for example, convention attendees from the 50 states and the territories are invited to a large outdoor music and festival area on the shores of the lake here for a big event tomorrow night. We'll have to see if that is changed in any way, given that it is an outdoor event, like the campaign event in Pennsylvania. But otherwise, hotels here are beginning to fill up. Preparations are underway. One other piece of politics that's worth conveying, Margaret, while we're waiting to see what exactly Republicans decide to do with their convention, the Biden campaign let it be known moments before the president spoke that the Biden campaign itself is moving tonight to stop all television and digital advertising across the country to acknowledge this moment, and is working to ensure that all outbound communication to voters, in essence, that's fundraising appeals and advertising, is stopped to mark this event. That is a notable pause, given that upwards of $50 million were supposed to be spent this month on that kind of advertising and other outreach.
Well, Ed, what you're saying, just to put it in context, this is already affecting the operations of a campaign 4 months out from Election Day, but it is also a choice, a deliberate choice being made by the Biden campaign to say this is not the moment for politics. It was very quickly that they got the president on air. Tell me what you thought about the language chosen by the president and the thinking in the White House and trying to tamp down any kind of perhaps retaliation.
When the current president speaks about his predecessor and bitter political rival, I had never heard him before refer to him in that way, as Donald. To Adriana's earlier observation, I would surmise, based on years of tracking him, that that's exactly what he was trying to do, sort of tamp down the politics of this and try to emphasize the humanity. Donald, after all, is a man, is a human being, is a father, is a grandfather, is someone who's followed and adored by millions of Americans and people around the world. So the fact that he very clearly said from the beginning, I'm trying to talk to Trump tonight myself, is notable, and we'll see whether or not that conversation happens. And the president didn't rule out speaking again tonight to try to help quell concerns across the country. That response, different to the one that Trump made in the moments after this, though perhaps understandable. And we'll just have to monitor here in the coming hours how these two leaders, and perhaps former presidents, Margaret, consider speaking out or doing something to try to quell
they're going to give RFK
the obvious
security now?
rancor and violence that we've seen today and could potentially see over the next 3.5 months as the campaign continues.
Yeah. And Adriana, apologies if you've already reported that, but our Pat Milton is saying we now know the weapon used was a rifle.
Well, no
the
shit.
Shooter used that. And in that video we were showing earlier of the downed individual appeared to be wearing fatigues. You couldn't see.
That's the only reason he talked, Kelly.
If
it was actually
the shooter, but we believe
not
that
the vice
video does
president,
reflect,
he'd still be asleep.
That was the eliminated threat Secret Service took down.
That's new information.
And confirmation from Pat Milton as well, from 2 law enforcement sources to her. The shooter was outside of that cordoned area, as we've been discussing. It was a couple hundred yards away from former President Trump. It was on that elevated structure, shot and killed by a member of the Secret Service counter-assault team. As Margaret said, the shooter's weapon was a rifle. New information from Pat Milton.
In other words, a skilled shooter to be able to take a shot like that at a distance
300 yards and he missed.
And to Ed's point, the current president is talking about unity, trying to cut through the politics and talk about the humanity of the situation. The vice president has also issued a statement. She says that she's been briefed. She says, Doug and I are relieved that he is not seriously injured. We are praying for him, his family, and all those who have been injured and impacted by this senseless shooting. She continues and says that we are grateful to the United States Secret Service, first responders, local authorities for immediate action. Violence such as this has no place in our nation. We must condemn this abhorrent act and do our part to ensure that it does not lead to more violence.
And new reporting from Nicole Skanga, a CBS News reporter, that it's still being determined if former President Trump was hit by a bullet or from debris. Some evidence he might have been cut by the glass. He's surrounded by teleprompters, which are plastic or glass, depending on the event. On stage, different elements are on stage as well. Again, from Nicole Skanga at CBS News, the suspect was on a shed. Again, that elevated platform outside the security perimeter. Usually,
I just don't see how that's
multiple sources tell CBS News the president or Republican nominee would have some sort of protective glass in the area, but it's unclear at this event what the extent was of the security around former President Trump.
And this on a day when, you know, the campaigns are in full swing. Just today, I just read that statement from the vice president. She had a campaign event in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, that was indoors.
There you go.
These events have different levels of security based on the risk. There, of course, is more risk when you are outside. There is less ability to control all the elements. We don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that an alleged assailant has been neutralized. We believe him, if it is a man, to have been up on a roof.
So no one's under arrest now?
At this point is that it is a male. And we're having communication issues ourselves on this end, and this is a breaking news environment. So stay with us in this fluidity. But I want to make sure that our control room in New York tells me that we have someone on the phone right now who was an eyewitness to events. I'd like to be able to speak to him. I'm told his name is Josh Dresling. Josh, are you there, and can you hear all of us?
Yes, I'm here, and I can hear you.
Wonderful. Josh, can you give us a little context? Why were you at the rally today?
I was just an observer there to take some pictures and see the goings-on of, you know, this whole movement in our country, and then chaos kind of broke out.
You're a journalist, or why? You stood in the heat in an hour, and you went through security and at this campaign. You're a pretty interested photographer. Tell me a little bit about why you were there and what you saw.
I'm an amateur journalist. I mostly cover music and that kind of stuff. So this was more of a personal kind of adventure today. I was there and bared through the heat and went through the security with, you know, there was several thousands of people there, and it was very hot. And I made my way to basically the center of the crowd. You know, I was a little bit off to the right of the podium, about 50 yards away, standing there with, you know, shoulder to shoulder with many, many other people. And then I heard one pop, and then a second pop, pop, pop. And then there was like four or five that followed that. And it sounded like it came off from my right, which would have been Trump's left, where the video that you were showing, there was two people that were injured. I kind of think that these two people were in the line of fire, and that was the shots ricocheting on the like aluminum grandstand
good guy with a gun
seating
took him out. They just don't want to say that.
We heard some of our eyewitness reporters were saying that they could see blood on those metal boards in the stadium area in the infrastructure. What are we talking about there?
I think I talked about this morning, Clown Force, the 90 million.
I didn't personally
I heard it last
see
night.
blood on the things, but I did see them, like paramedics and whether it was Secret Service or military or whatever.
You're talking about
they carried two guys out of there, and
right?
actually, it's one of the videos you've been playing was a video that I had shot, but they were carrying them down the steps, and the one guy was able to exit on his own with some help from the other people, but another guy was being carried out, and he really didn't have any expression or anything, and they took them off to the side and laid them on the ground there, and were attending to them at that point. And actually, I'm seeing the video on your station right now.
That's your video that you shot?
Yeah, right there.
You filmed? Okay.
Correct.
And can you tell us if you saw the image that we have up right now of the person injured, did you, with the American flag cowboy boots, were you able to see anything there? What happened and the extent of those injuries?
No, that gentleman there with the flag around him, they took him and laid him in the grass there, and they eventually loaded him into an ambulance. I don't know what type of condition he was in at that point. I don't have any further information as far as that.
Okay, Josh, thank you. Adriana or Bob, did you have any questions?
I continued to hear from sources close to former President Trump, family members like Donald Trump Jr., top House Republicans, top Senate Republicans. They are all trying to give the family some space tonight as the family directly communicates with former President Trump. But those who have spoken to Donald Trump Jr. and other family members say former President Trump is reiterating to his closest advisors and family members that he is fine. But so many people on both sides of the aisle shook by this outbreak of violence in Pennsylvania. We are still trying to learn more about what exactly happened on stage. We have seen the images, we have seen the video, but what exactly happened in terms of the trajectory of the firearm discharge, if they were bullets, if there was some other type of event that happened in the vicinity of the stage. We heard from David McCormick, the Senate candidate, an eyewitness and sitting in the first row, watching the former president. The former president, though physically, personally defiant, we're told tonight by those closest to him, doing
I just
fine.
hit the
Everyone
live
in his
portion
circle
of
shook.
YouTube,
and you saw President Biden tonight weighing in. Not just a statement on paper, but taking time in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, a place he rarely makes comments, to make a statement about how he believes this is a sick moment in American political history. Former President Trump fine, the shooter killed, another person killed. But you see a security failure, as Margaret Brennan and others have been detailing with their reporting. A.T. Smith and others have been discussing to have someone, as CBS News has confirmed, on an elevated structure not that far, just hundreds of yards, mere hundreds of yards away from a former president of the United States, one of the most arguably protected people in the country. All former presidents of the United States have lifetime security from the United States Secret Service. A breach today in Butler, Pennsylvania. You can see the alleged suspect, who is now dead, on the roof of this structure not far from the crowd. And you had eyewitnesses now pouring out of this event in Butler, Pennsylvania, expressing astonishment that some of them saw this person on the roof and shocked that the Secret Service ultimately did take action to take out the shooter, but of course not in time before something happened with an apparent firearm. The former president, his fist in the air. That photos in this image of Trump leaving the stage with his arm in the air have circulated like wildfire among his closest supporters and allies. And it should be noted, many of Trump's supporters on social media tonight extremely angry. It's not going to reflect all of the verbatims of what we're seeing on social media from some of the Republicans around Trump. But to be clear, this is still a politically charged moment as much as it is a crime investigation and a security moment. Many people already in this country very angry at the other side, not just on a partisan red versus blue level, but we cover it all the time here at CBS News. There's a visceral nature to the emotions that pour out on the campaign trail.
And to that point, Bob Costa, I was just texting with Robert O'Brien, the former national security advisor to Donald Trump, who sent out a statement saying we've got to take the political temperature down. He and Mike Lee, the senator, issued this jointly. We've got to take the political temperature down, as evidenced by what happened in Pennsylvania today. So two key Republican Trump supporters calling for the rhetoric, the political violence, the threats of it to be lowered. That is in stark contrast to the head of the Trump campaign, one of the top Trump campaign officials you were reading statements from earlier. We are also looking at social media posts from other Republicans who are quite angry. Everyone should be angry that this security failure happened, but in a way that will raise further concern of someone misinterpreting things and perhaps carrying out further political violence. Law enforcement will want to lower this temperature. And words matter right now very much.
Well, we're entering, though, a period of extreme political charge with the Republican National Convention. We just heard from Major Garrett and Ed O'Keefe on the ground in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, because that begins on Monday.
We have on the phone another eyewitness from the event in Pennsylvania today. Her name is Melissa Schaffert. Melissa, I understand you heard some pops. You heard what we believe to be a series of gunshots. According to the log I see, there were at least 3 shots heard. How many did you hear?
I believe we heard 4 shots. It was very confusing because the shots did not sound like they were gunshots. It sounded like they were fireworks. And we were sitting about 50 feet
Nobody's
from
going to know that Rich
this
Simmons
giant
died
green
today,
tractor, which is a combine. And I look over and I saw plumes of dust, but I thought that's not what a gunshot sounds like. And then the chaos ensued, and we all got down on the ground, and I could actually hear bullets whizzing by. So I think the interesting thing to note when you're looking at all of the footage that is online and President Trump is directly in front of you on the screen, all of this action was taking place to the right of the president. So
all right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think you're going to come
on the
up with
ground
anything
for
new.
about a minute. We all stood up,
I was kind of
and
waiting
that's
for
when I posted.
the sheriff's department to come out, but I guess they're not going to do that anytime soon. Well, a little more information. We know 2 dead, 1 shooter. Why there were reports of somebody that was arrested, possible shooter arrested. And can't wait to hear what kind of rifle it was. Just can't wait. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, history was made today for some of us that weren't around for JFK, or that weren't old enough to remember when Ronald Reagan was shot. Wow. The war to end wars, presidential assassination attempt, the Z's that took out the entire world, and, well, now another nuclear war on the brink. Good times. Make sure you tell someone you love them, or that you at least acknowledge them.